Hello everybody. I haven't done a YouTube video in over a week. I'm very sorry. Don't shoot me. But I have been doing Instagram Live. So if you follow me on Instagram, Charlotte Manson Ceramics, Monday mornings I do an Instagram Live where I do some making on the wheel and chat business, chat ceramics, everything like that to people that are watching. So come and join one of those. But I'm gonna do a YouTube video today based on a lot of questions that I get from my lives and on my Instagram comments and everything like that. So this YouTube video is going to be on how I make money as a full-time potter. Now, I'm just going to give you a little backstory into my business. So my business is 4 years old, 4 years and 4 months. No, 4 years and 6 months? 4.5 years. 4.5 years old. I started my business with one pottery wheel that I bought for £30 because it was broken and managed to get my friend's dad to fix it. And one table, and I was just in my grandparents' garage. This was September 2019. By November, it was getting so cold, the pots were freezing over and getting damaged. So I found a community studio where I was paying about £50 a month to be in that community studio. And I was using kiln rental from a local ceramic studio. So my expenses were really low. At that point, I was doing small group workshops of like 3-5 people in my studio, and I was selling at market stalls where I was doing like Christmas events and stuff like that. So again, expenses quite low. I was making a bit of money. I wasn't buying any equipment, anything like that. I had a cheap studio. 6 months later, I was working for another potter or another ceramicist part-time. And with that, I was exchanging work hours for having a studio space. So again, low expenses. I was getting one kiln firing a week in her kiln, which is actually one of these because I bought my kilns off her. They're all around. I was getting one firing a week, studio for free. Again, expenses quite low because it was in exchange for work hours, so I didn't have that money going in and out. A year and a bit later, I took on being full-time with my work, and that was because I was working 4 days a week on my practice whilst working for her 3 days a week. So the balance wasn't quite there in having work-life balance. So I decided to go full-time. At that point, expenses hit me in the face. I had to get a studio, which was a £6,000 expense a year. I bought a kiln because, again, I wasn't using her kiln because I left that job role. So that was a couple grand. All of the shelving, tables, everything to deck out my own studio space. So that year I had quite a big expenses list on my tax return. So my income was quite low that year. A year after that, so I was in that studio for a year, and then I moved here to where I currently am. At the moment I have 825 square foot and I'm expanding to 2,600, which you'll have to wait and see, or you have to come on my Instagram lives because I talk about that. But it's super exciting. I'm really excited. I'm going to show the whole, I'm going to do a big video about it and a big launch. But behind this wall, this new wall, behind that wall is the new space, and it'll all, hopefully in the next month, I'll share it with you all. But yes, so now I've been here nearly 2 years, and I wanted to share a bit on the cost of running my business, how I make my money, and how my practice has developed into working across lots of different platforms of selling and lots of means, different income streams to make money as a full-time potter. Essentially though, it all comes back to the clay, and that's where that money comes from, is how I transform that clay. So yeah, we're gonna break it down into a few different sections. We're gonna start with fixed expenses, and whether I make money or don't make money, this money still has to be paid to other people. So looking at fixed expenses, this is the money that will go out whether I am making money or not. So hopefully I'm making enough money to cover these expenses at least. So we have rent. At the moment, this is £550 a month for my current space, which is extremely cheap. And I'm in Berkshire on a farm. I'm not in a commercial front street shop on a street. I'm not in a shop. This is a private studio on a farm, no one around, no one comes to visit here. So that kind of element of having that style of studio does reduce the outlay of rent. So currently £550 a rent, Wi-Fi is £25 a month, water 15, my website is £35. I pay a year membership because I always just prefer the cheaper route to pay. So I pay for a year, but if I'm splitting it across the months. My phone is 15, and that's just to allow 4G when I do market stalls and everything like that. My public liability is £4 a month. That's through Axis Web. God damn it, I should be getting sponsorship on all of these. Axis Web, you buy the membership and you get public liability. Accountancy, now I am a limited company, I am VAT registered. My partner is a director of my company. I have self-employed members of staff. So my accountancy fees are quite high due to my VAT returns, tax returns, and year end, everything like that. So I pay £240 a month. All of these prices I'm telling you are VAT inclusive as well. And then I contribute into my pension of £250 a month. I've put this in the fixed expenses just because it requires a phone call and signing a piece of paper to reduce that amount, but it's £250 a month for my pension. So this is about just over £1,000 a month for all my fixed expenses. Now with my studio expansion, secret project behind the door, that will be going up to £2,200 a month with the studio expansion. So let's just say it's £1,000 a month, which is what it currently is. So that is all my fixed expenses. You can see them all here. They aren't changing whether I make money or not. Now, there's a couple fluctuating expenses which are in relation to actually me making sales. So I could have those fixed expenses and I could not use my studio to do anything and I still need to make enough money to cover that. So for example, I could not make anything for 1 month, not fire any kilns, not buy any materials, and just sell the stock I have, and I still have those fixed expenses. But the fluctuating expenses are the expenses that come with the sales I make. So for example, staff wages. Now, all of my staff are self-employed. I have a contract between them that I'll provide a minimum of 1 day working a week. This is currently a lot more. So Esme works 4 days a week, Lisa works 3. Currently the wages are £2,350 a month for my staff wages. I pay them £15 an hour and they work 5.5 hours a day. But again, like I said, I could reduce this or increase this. So I've put it under fluctuating. Electricity, obviously, this only comes when I fire my kilns, I turn the lights on, I use my electric wheels. Now this is quite expensive because I have a 220 litre kiln and 2 160 litre kilns, which are just out of shot. They cost me about £70 a firing every time, and it's 35p a unit where I currently am. Now that means my electricity bill is somewhere between £1,000 and £1,300 every month. That is, again, busier season, I'll have it on more, which is that 1,300. Quieter season, have it on less, which is about £1,000. So yeah, obviously if I'm not making those sales, there's no need to fire the kilns and not make the work. So that is why it's in fluctuating. I then have to change the kiln elements on my kilns. This works out every 4 months. I change the kiln elements on the 2 glazed kilns, and they're about £400 a time to change the elements. So I've worked it out, £200 every month put aside to change the kiln elements when they need doing. I then have material expenses. So glazes and clay, that's pretty much it. This I've put down as averagely £1,500 a month. This is on my spending of that in the last year. Obviously busy season, again, you'll be buying more materials, whereas if I'm buying clay now, it's probably going to last me a month extra than it would in November and December, but £1,500. Packaging materials, obviously I'm an online based business. I do some in-person sales, but mostly it's online. And this is about £400 a month, and that's for paper boxes, paper wrapping, starch packing peanuts, tape. Yeah, that's basically all I use for packaging. Everything's eco-friendly. Sometimes I use bubble wrap if I'm shipping dinner plates to America, or plant pots or something that could be squished. So that's about £400 a month. Advertising, now this is not online advertising. I've never done online ads, whether that's on Etsy or my website or Facebook, Instagram, social media, anything like that. is for paper advertising. So when I post out orders, there's a couple things I put in it. Firstly, it's a little thank you card and a care card. This tells them that their products are dishwasher, microwave and oven proof. It also has a 10% discount code for the future and just says kind of thank you for buying from my shop. A bit of a personal touch. Something more personal that I've brought out recently is my ceramic newspapers, or my Charlotte Manson ceramic newspapers. Sorry, it's all back to front for you guys. But it's just information about what I'm doing. These come out quarterly and they cost me about 60 pence a newspaper. So they're actually quite cheap. Yeah, so that's that. So advertising, I've put about £100 a month. That's the average. Postage and online selling fees. So these two amounts of money actually mostly come out of the sale amount on the online platform I'm selling on before the money comes to me. So it's not really an expense within my business because it goes away before I even see that money. But sometimes I am buying postage directly through Royal Mail. Mostly the postage is about £1,000 a month and the fees are about £1,000 a month. That is because majority of my sales are on Etsy or Fair for wholesale. Those are all my fluctuating expenses. So obviously if I was selling less, my kilns would be on less, my materials would be less, my postage would be less. If I'm selling more, it's all going to be more. So these are averages that I've worked out over the last year. So this, without including the fees and the postage, is about nearly £6,000 on those fluctuating expenses. Now adding that to the £1,000 of the fixed expenses. So generally based on my income at the moment, my expenses are about £7,000 a month. Now I know you're all like, but Charlotte, what is your income? Or what is your turnover? What is your number of sales? Well, stick around because I'm going to break it down for you for my February sales and my December sales. That's February this year, December last year. In the last 6 months, my business has grown quite a lot, which is why we're taking on the new space and building something new. So yeah, this February is better than last year. It's sort of double the amount of last year, but I am going to tell you all what I've got and hopefully that gives you a more idea of my income versus my expenses, everything like that, how I sell. Maybe there's better ways you can sell. But yeah, hopefully it helps. Okay then, calculations are done. December versus February. So December 2023 versus February 2024 in terms of sales. Obviously, February is a shorter month, but December between Christmas and New Year, not really much going on. I'm not making anything, I'm not promoting anything. Kind of probably about the same really. December was my busiest month in 2023. The year previously it was November. I'm going off of money being deposited to me. Now, wholesale, I will have a 30-day payment term or a 60-day payment term with Fair, but I get paid in 30 days from the dispatch of the product on Fair. So I'm just going off the payments that have come to me that month rather than working out when I made it and everything like that. So December, firstly, I offer wholesale and through Fair, I took £5,500, but direct wholesale to me, so that was via invoice, emails, everything like that, 4,100. So about 9,500 with wholesale. I have an affiliation link with Etsy, so when people click on this link and purchase an item, I get an extra percentage of it. So I only got £30 with that month. Sometimes it's very little, sometimes it might be near £100. It's not really that significant. Obviously December is like a market time. So I did several market stalls and I took about £2,500. I was finding that market stalls just aren't that amazing, to be honest, last year. So I'm really reducing what I do this year, but about 2,500. I rent out my kiln and in December, I took about £800 on kiln rental. So that was about 10 firings. My website sales are not as much as my Etsy, but on my website I took £600. And my Etsy, I made £15,000 in sales on Etsy, but I get fees and postage is all deducted, like I was saying earlier, before it comes to me. So it was about 12,300 after the postage and the fees was gone. So in total, I should have done the maths on that. Pause it, let me do the maths. I I also had some miscellaneous sales. So these are just sales that come through Instagram or Facebook or something, people messaging me and want to pick something up. So that was about £350. It was not that much for December actually. So the total for February, this is the total turnover. So what comes to me was £25,380, about that. So yeah, that was quite a good month. That's the best I've ever had. Last year, 2022, I think I took about 15,000 in November or just November, and that was insane. So this is a full £10,000 turnover increase on my best in 2022. So that was very good. It actually felt far more manageable as well because I was a bit more prepared after the chaos of the year before. So yeah, super happy with that. So now we'll compare it to February. So for market stalls, I did one in February, the Independent Ceramics Market. I've done a video on that, and I took £675. Wholesale, I do get a fair bit of wholesale in January, so I was being paid for this in February. So direct wholesale was £2,600 and wholesale through Fair was £1,600. My affiliation link was only £50. Miscellaneous sales, so people coming to me buying bits, £570. That's also custom pieces as well. My website was a bit better in February than it was in December. That was £850. And my Etsy this February was so good compared to last one. Last February was, I think it was £1,900 I took on Etsy. This February was just over £7,000. So my take home from that was about £5,500. So my total, about £11,800 was what my turnover was for the month of February, which is so good compared to last year. Last year was about 6,000 in total, so it's double last year. That is why I'm going ahead with the expansion, because the last 6 months, it just seems like the trajectory that my business is on is really amazing. Crazy. So if we go back to those expenses, looking at the total of an average month being £7,000, then you can see from that my wage, obviously I'm paying tax and VAT, but it's kind of hard to work out the VAT with it's 20%, but some of the ways I sell, like through Fair and Etsy, the VAT is already paid for me. So it's only the money on my website and the money I make at market stalls that I'm paying VAT on. Plus I have the VAT deductions that I'm already making from the materials, the electricity, everything like that. So my VAT bill doesn't tend to be that crazy. I mean, saying that, I haven't had the VAT bill for December yet. That'll be the end of this month. So my VAT bill tends to be about £1.5 which is quite nice because I've already paid some of it. Obviously my tax, but the end of this year will be my first year as a limited company, so my tax going as a PAYE sort of director and member of staff and looking at dividends and everything like that. So I don't really know what my tax is going to be yet. I always save money for it, which I fully recommend doing. But yeah, so now I'm just going to say a bit about the way I sell and how it works for me, and then what I would like to improve on. So I sell obviously on Fair. Now this is where I sell wholesale. I've just paid to have my website done because it's just a job that I don't enjoy doing, and I know someone that does it and they're a friend, so they do me a good deal. Which I really appreciate, and they have put on my website a wholesale site, so you can now apply for a wholesale account and it directly applies the discount to your checkout. So it's Fair. Creoway, I don't get that many orders through Creoway. It's not as big a company as Fair, and a lot of my wholesale through Fair it's probably like 50% to America, 50% to the UK and Europe. I do offer less of a discount on Fair than I do on my website. So it's 40% off the retail price, which that 60% then includes VAT. So if the company is VAT registered that's buying from me, they get 50% off the retail really. So yeah, I sell on Fair mostly, I sell on Creoway. There's some companies, even when I offer to buy directly from me, they prefer to buy through Fair because Fair have deals and incentives to buy on their site, which I completely understand. Wholesale part is mostly for UK because there's no real point buying through Fair when they can get a better deal buying from me in the UK. That is hopefully going to work out quite well. So I've made that investment to hopefully stop paying as much towards other companies. Obviously, I sell on my website. Again, this is not as much as Etsy, as you can see from the numbers, and I would like it to be. At the moment, I have the basic website plan, and then I pay for the coding and everything to be done separate to that. And it is the person I know, my friend, that does it, and he's really good at it. And yeah, so we're just building upon that. If I can spend, probably last year I paid Etsy, what would it be, about 10 grand in fees on my sales. So if I can reinvest that money and transfer those sales to my platform, to my website platform, then I think that's worth the investment because of the fees difference. I don't have a problem with Etsy fees. Some people kick off about it. I don't have a problem with it because they bring me customers and I make sales through Etsy. If I didn't make sales through Etsy, I'd probably have a problem with it. So I'm not gonna step away from Etsy anytime soon until that amount of sales is going through my website. I do market stalls as well. It's not as, I just don't want to do it as much. It's so exhausting doing a market stall, and I just eat all day. I'm just cold and like I just want food. So the thing with market stalls is the organizers will get the money that you've paid for the stall, whether you have a good day selling or not. There's some events that I go to because I know I will always have a good day selling there. But there's some events that I go to and it's just a complete letdown, and I might not have even covered my stall pitch, which is the worst. But I do think about when I first started and I paid £30 for a stall and I made £50 in sales, and I was like, oh my God, that's so amazing. And it is, and that is a great place to start because every person that takes one of your business cards will remember you, you know, and that's why I always think if I don't have a good day selling, it's advertising, and you don't know what sales are going to come afterwards. The teachers when I was at uni said a customer has to see your work 3 times before they decide to invest into it. I think it's probably more based at more expensive pieces, like I was doing a ceramics degree, so more artwork. The more they see your work, basically, the more they choose to spend their money in that way. So don't be disheartened if the first time they see your stuff, they don't buy anything, even though they love it, because there's times when I've gone to a market store and seen something I liked before and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get it this time because I still really like it. But yeah, I'm hopefully only gonna do 1 market stall a month this year rather than last year I did 30. So yeah, we will see how that goes. In terms of like wage, my wage has varied over the last 4 years of running my business, and that's when those expenses and investments in your business do vary the amount of money you take home. But ultimately, investing in your business invests in you making money. So whilst, say, one of you people watching is at the point where they're thinking, I have enough money to buy a kiln, but I don't know whether I should buy a kiln because then that's a lot of money I'm spending. So you have to think, in the long run, what benefit is it gonna mean having your own kiln? It's probably gonna mean driving somewhere to deliver your work. It's probably gonna mean more production. You're in control of those firing times. I think the value in making the purchases that make you money quicker or make your life easier is worth the money, because in the long run, when you've paid off those pieces of equipment, then you're making profit on it. Now, I don't do this job to make loads of money, 100% no. I do this job because I love it, and every day I enjoy coming to work. And when I'm bored at home, all I want to do is work, you know? But I'm just making this video to be like, you can make money from it, and these are the ways I make money. Diversification and having different income streams is definitely the one. Oh, I didn't mention workshops. I don't really do workshops at the moment, but coming soon. I hope that, sorry, that's a lot of numbers. I hope that's interesting for people. I hope that's helpful. Feel free to comment below. That's what they do. That's what these YouTubers do. And yeah, please subscribe to my channel. I know it's providing some use to people. Have a wonderful Monday. I am going to get back on the wheel, and I'll speak to you all soon. Goodbye.